This is Starcast, the official podcast of your Billingham Stars. Watch and listen for the very latest news and interviews from within the Big Red Machine.
Hello and a very warm welcome to the latest edition of Starcast, your official podcast for the Billingham Town Council, Billingham Stars. A warm welcome. Some of us have only just thawed out from Saturday night in Elland Road. See, I've done it again. Carol and Jono, I didn't make it, so I was warm and toasty. But yeah, we'll talk about a 6-point weekend for your Billingham Stars, edging them ever closer to a second league title in as many years. We'll give you the rundown on what needs to happen very, very shortly. So we'll talk about the two games. We'll look ahead to the weekend's single trip to Hobs Moat Road. And then we'll also see, I'll get the hang of this. You see, I've got an agenda. Why don't I just follow my agenda? And we'll also talk about the results and tables from around the NIHL Division 1. Big results at top, middle and bottom of the division. So plenty going on as the season reaches its business end, and we'll finish up with a bit of any other business as well. Kicking off with some a competition, really. As there were playoffs this year, the Steel City Showdown in Sheffield, the 12th and 13th of April. Brand new format. We've got divisional finals on a Saturday, national finals on a Sunday. Teams from north and south coming together. Tickets are selling very, very well. Still available from the usual outlets. If you follow AIH events on social media, you can get the links to buy your tickets. But if you haven't got your tickets, then thanks to our friends at the NIHL, we do have a pair of weekend tickets for the Steel City Showdown to give away to a listener, stroke viewer, stroke follower, whoever they are, of Starcast. And all we want you to do is to tell us how many goals you think will be scored in this weekend's NIHL fixtures. So there are 7 games in total. Sheffield D-side, Hull Blackburn, Widnes Nottingham, D-side Leeds, Whitley Nottingham, Sheffield Blackburn and Solihull Billingham. 7 games in NIHL Division 1 North. So just tell us either in the thread for this one on social media or send it to Starcast at march74.co.uk. We'll put that in the bio as well. You can send your competition entries before Saturday afternoon. First game Saturday is 2:50. So say Saturday lunchtime, you get your entries in by Saturday at 12 noon. If anybody's the closest, they will win. If it's a tie, we'll draw them out of one of Cowell's ball hats in next week's episode. So that's how many goals will be scored in total in the 7 NIHL North Division 1 games this coming weekend. Get your entries in. I say post them in the thread here on social media or send them in by email by 12 o'clock on Saturday. And the closest or who's drawn out will win a pair of tickets to the Steel City Showdown. Thanks again to NIHL management for giving us those tickets to give away. Best of luck and get your thinking caps on. I made a couple of hat puns already, but we'll also still talking about the Steel City Showdown. Again, if you follow on social media, the AIH events team will be putting out very shortly a range of merchandise for the Steel City Showdown. Cowell is wearing one of the limited edition bobble hats. There's a range of colours going to be available. So look out for NIHL Steel City Showdown on AIH events. Some great colourways there with a nice Steel City Showdown logo in the middle. There's also going to be some pucks as well, I think, some of the goodies. Plenty of ways of supporting the event as well as being there in person. As I say, tickets still available. 12th and 13th of April at Bauer Arena at Sheffield. We'll see a chance to win a pair of tickets thanks to NIHL here on Starcast. But yeah, definitely get your tickets. Playoff buzz. I know we and the Billingham fans, Carol, a lot of fans have already got the tickets and are looking forward to another fantastic weekend.
Yeah, it's kind of, it's not all about the hockey, and I think that's why people like the playoffs. It's just a chance to catch up with friends, make new friends, talk about hockey with fellow addicts, I might say a few sherbets might get followed for the course of the weekend. But yeah, it's just a chance for a celebration of hockey, and that's why people love it and keep supporting it, guys, because it's only on offer while people want it.
Yeah, and tickets going really well, John. And the added North v South element, it's looking like it's going to be the sellout tickets going very well, and there's been a buzz ever since it was announced in the summer, hasn't there?
Yeah, it was absolutely fantastic last year. Probably the best one they've ever done. And then this year, to add that North-South element in it, I think it's going to elevate it to a whole new level. We're going to see teams that we don't normally get to see. Like sitting and chilling out watching the South final for me is one of the biggest buzzers of the weekend. Yeah. If my team actually, if we actually make it, obviously we're going to be tense and stressed during our game. But it's going to be nice just to watch those other teams going at it and see what it's about all in the South, even for the South 2 game. It's going to be very interesting to watch 4 teams that we don't get to see, and I think that's the big plus for us fans up the north is seeing we get to see what's going on down in the south.
Yeah, and the 6 games. There's 4 finals on the Saturday. They're the divisional finals. 2 games on the Sunday. They're national finals. So 6 games for your money. Everyone's a championship game. It's fantastic value for money. Even now the early bird price has gone, it's still great value for money. As I say, the 6 games, it's more than just about the games, as Carol says. It's about the meeting fans, talking hockey all weekend, the social side of it as well. So Steel City Showdown, 12th and 13th of April. That's the place to be come the end of the season. We'll remind you of the competition at the end before we log off at the end of the podcast tonight. But we'll get to our main business. And as we said at the top, a 6-point weekend for the Billingham Stars, 2 road wins. Away to the Leeds Knights and away to the Whitley Warriors. Not without things to talk about, which we'll do over the next few minutes. Give you the facts and figures. First of all, from Saturday night at Elland Road, it was Leeds 2, Billingham 9. Goals for Leeds by Owen Dell and Jake Wigington. Goals for the Billingham Stars, James Moss, Michael Elder, James Helens, Callum Wilkinson, Ian Brown with 2, Chris Sykes and Roland Gritans with 2. 63 shots to 16 for the Billingham Stars, 3 for 6 on the power play. And it was kind of a theme, Carol, a slow start, but once the guys warmed up, literally and metaphorically, they got the job done and ran away with it in periods 2 and 3.
Yeah, the first period was a bit sluggish. Talked to Foz about it after the game, and just a little bit of a cup hangover maybe. It just didn't seem to be quite clicking in the first. We still didn't look in any danger though. I mean, you can look at games on paper and it's 3-2 to us at the end of the first, and you think, oh, this is quite a close game. Mm-hmm. It was never close. I know that sounds quite arrogant, but even when we weren't at the races in the first period, it wasn't really that close at all. So again, it was one of those occasions where you sit and you think, well, this is going to happen eventually. So maybe we didn't quite have our shooting sticks in the first 20, but you knew it was coming, and there wasn't really any feeling of being uncomfortable or anything like that. Leeds for me still looked like a team of junior footballers chasing the ball like little excited puppies. But once we went probably 2 or 3 goals ahead, their heads visibly dropped, and they don't like it when they're losing, and they kind of lost their shape completely after that. So yeah, it was a comfortable workout at the end of the day. Not so comfortable for the fans. I think Leeds is taking the prize for the coldest rink in the country, because it was. I can't remember being that cold in an ice rink. It was just ridiculously cold. So Hillheads has lost its Ice Palace title this weekend. Mm-hmm. And I think Leeds has even beaten Blackburn, probably Manchester, just because I couldn't feel any of my extremities by the time I left. So yeah, comfortable for the guys, not quite so comfortable for the fans. Yeah, it was a professional job at the end of the day.
And John, it was kind of as Carol says, the cup hangover, says getting the high of last Sunday and then getting back to business. It took the guys maybe a period to kind of get back on the wagon, as Fozzie would probably say. But I say, and in front of a huge travelling support from the Big Red Machine, making up the majority of the crowd in the Elland Road rink. A professional performance, 3 points in the bag, and onwards and continue the journey towards our end goal.
Yeah, absolutely. And as Carl said there, it kind of never felt like we were in trouble. We went 1-0 down to an absolute unreal finish from Owen Dell. I know we've spoke about him in length in the past. Kid's got a very, very bright future. But even then, I think we outshot them something like 22-23 to 5 or 6. And granted, they got a couple of goals, but all the play was in their zone. It was just attack after attack after attack, and you just knew it was going to be a matter of time or a matter of when and not if. They just didn't really have an answer, and they were tiring quickly. You could see it. And Carl mentioned it again. I think we went 4-2, and you just saw the visible sag in them all. And I think sometimes as a team, you can see that in them. And we just thought, yeah, we're okay now. We can not go through the motions, but we can play our hockey, we can play our style, and we won't probably get punished at the other end for it, because in a sense, they're kind of given up. And yeah, we scored a few nice goals. It was nice to see Darren trying his best to score. He was getting closer and closer without he hit the post once or twice. Connor was showing his bags of tricks and what he can do. That line with Mossy and Rowley is really starting to gel. You can tell Connor's training a lot more with us now and spending a bit more time down here with us, training and playing. That connection is going to be huge going into the run and into the playoffs. But yeah, very much job well done. First period, like I say, I think it was a bit scratchy. You mentioned the cup final last week. Probably was a bit of not a downer, because obviously there was still about 100 there. I think Fozzie said, I don't think he counted us all individually, but you could see from the eye that was about 100 of us there. Obviously coming from the week before, where you basically played in front of 2,000 people over the weekend, you're going to have that little lull. And it was against Leeds. It wasn't another team that was up there with us, and we got going eventually and got the goals on the board.
Yeah, and you say about the way the game started, the first period shots, and then Jacob only had 9 shots in the second and third period total. So, and I think only 2 in the third period. So Jacob a bit of a passenger late on, and that showed us the kind of the dominance. You mentioned that second line, John, and Al, you can come in on that. It was noticeable from the cup when Mossy scored the opening goal on the Sunday. And when we were talking to him in training, he said he was pleased to find the net again, because he said he'd been kind of gripping the stick a bit. And so Mossy's on target. He scored again on Saturday. Rowley's chipped in with a couple, scored again on Sunday. So that line, as I say, it's always been producing, but the kind of stepping up, maybe he's taking the pressure off the big line. So when playoffs come, or the end of the season, it's going to be harder for teams to shut the whole scoring down.
Yeah, that second line, when it's working, really is working. Foz would argue it's not the second line, because we have 3 first lines. But I think just for the lack of a better placement in front of goal, Connor would have had a couple of goals on Saturday as well. Certainly, I think John Orr was impressed with his sexy hands on Saturday, but he didn't quite manage to find the back of the net. But he certainly did everything but. I think, but for a little bit more, like I say, a little bit better placement in front of goal, he would have had a couple of goals himself. So there's that so-called second line's presence is becoming more and more and more important as the season goes on, and that's what you want, really. You want everybody stepping up. You don't want anybody having games or shifts off, and certainly that second line is doing the business at the minute, and it looks really good as well.
Yeah. Got to see Luca as well. Another game for Leeds on his recovery back from his time away. So again, we're nice and easy on him. 20 shots, 27 shots, and then we laid off only 16 shots in the third, giving him a 63 to work on. Anything else from the Leeds game before we head on to Sunday? I see we've talked about the lines, the points from D as well, which we also got on Sunday, which just kind of adds to that kind of team scoring ethos, doesn't it, Jono?
Yeah, absolutely. Your D's and your goalies are your most valuable guys. I know you've got to score goals to win them, but stopping them is just as important. Just look at D side's problems. I think if they had a defence and a goalie, they'd be somewhere up there. But yeah, the way Richie has these in training where they're alternating and jumping up in the rush and making either a 3-4 man or sometimes a 5-man rush is making it difficult for teams to stop. And especially when you've got players as mobile as Tommy Spraggan as well, they're always going to be a threat and moving the puck very fast from D to offense. And that's where I think we catch a lot of teams out, to be honest, how fast we move the puck from back to front. And long may it continue for the rest of the season.
Yeah. Jam with his 7th goal of the season on Saturday, and had a helper as well, and Ben chipping in a rare game. No points for Tommy Spragg, but as I say, his weekend was only just getting started. We'll leave things there on Saturday night then. I say 9-2. Guys headed back up to A1 with 3 points safely stored on the team coach before heading on Sunday afternoon to the coast and the Whitley Warriors derby game, 3rd of the 4 derby games in the league this season. And on Sunday night at the Hillheads Ice Palace, it finished Whitley Warriors 3, Billingham Stars 4, a 3rd period winner from Tommy Spraggan. Goals in this one: Warriors, Callum Queenan, Harry Harley and Jamie Ord. And from the Billingham Stars, Rollins Grittans, Ian Brown with 2, and I say that winner in the 3rd period from Tommy Spraggan. Mark Turnbull took the net. Likes playing at Hillheads these days. 35 saves for him. We had 44 shots on Josh Crane. Both goalies got the Man of the Match awards in this one. Warriors giving Man of the Match to visiting goalie. Shocker. But Jono, do you want to start with this one? We'll focus on the ice first. And again, another a slow start. Warriors jumping into a 2-0 lead, and possibly the biggest goal was Rowley's goal just before the end of the first to give us momentum going into the interval.
Absolutely. I think we were travelling down, and I wasn't sure what type of game we were going to get. Obviously, we saw the battering the Warriors got the night before, but you knew a lot more players were going to be back on the Sunday. And I think it's the same always with the Warriors. It's just whether they're going to be up for a game or not. And they were very up for it on Sunday. They worked really hard. I think I mentioned it in a few places online. That's the hardest I've seen the Warriors work against the Stars for a long, long time. They grafted, they worked really hard. And for a better scorer, they could have had us in a little bit more trouble. But they didn't. But they did get out to a 2-goal lead. I think Jordan Barnes started the game very well. He forechecked really hard, created a couple of players that got them on the score sheet a couple of times. And yeah, to be fair, from going 2-0 down, I think we kind of notched it up a little bit ourselves, and we started to control the puck a lot more, getting a lot more shots in on goal. And then thankfully we hit the back of the net at a good time, to be fair, towards the end of the first period to set us up for going into the rest of the game.
Yeah. The middle period, Carol, of the game, we come to life, took the lead 3-2. Jamie Ord level things, but we need to mention those middle period goals. Ian Brown goals number 59 and 60 in the league. Never mind what he scored in the cup. 60 goals in the league. A nice little PP marker to get the 60th one as well. That middle period seems to be one of our strongest at the minute, and we kind of took the lead. That was the Warriors' 3rd goal against the run of play somewhat, but we kind of had them on the rack for long periods in that middle frame.
Yeah, I think we got to grips with our usual passing game a little bit more in the middle period. I think we always tend to forget that the boards defy physics at Whitley, and the ice is not quite as nice as other rinks. So I think it takes us a little while to realise that our usual slick passing might not be quite as slick in that barn. But once we got hold of it, it didn't feel out of control. I'll admit, before the game, I actually didn't feel that good about it. I thought the Warriors would be bang up for it. I thought they would be wounded after the previous day's mauling. I didn't feel particularly good about going into Whitley Bay, but even when we went 2-0 down, I still felt a bit off, but not like normal. Usually if you go 2-0 down in Whitley Bay, you're thinking, this isn't going to be really hard work. But I always felt we had another gear or two to move up, and once we did find our passes and things started to flow a little bit more, I thought we did all right, really. It was just a case of getting the points and getting out, I think.
Yeah. I mean, the highlights are already up from Warriors TV. Great job getting the highlights up, and I know their commentators were saying they were impressed with particularly our 2 power play goals, Ian's second one, and the winner from Tommy. We say that at the forum every week, but again, that the passing and the movement, particularly in the offensive zone around the PP, that obviously caught the eye of the Warriors commentators, and those 2 power play goals, Jono, kind of made the difference in the end.
Yeah, I mean, Ian Brown, I think I saw Warriors fans applauding it. You just couldn't help but not. It was just a fantastic play, great puck movement, zipping it around the zone. And as the old saying says, it's our tic-tac-toe, and that's exactly what it was. It was, or as they say in the NHL, a bang-bang play, and it was just fantastic to watch them move the puck as quick as they did. And then again, the same for the go-ahead goal from Tommy. They moved the puck around very well. They got Josh Crane moved from side to side. They managed to move the whole team to one side of the ice, and Tommy just put it to the opposite way of where they're all moving, and found the bottom corner with a fantastic shot. We know he isn't a big shooter, but yeah, just all accuracy, and he put it in the bottom corner and sent us on our way, really. And as I say, I don't think anything was in doubt in the third period. I think we pretty much controlled the whole of the third period, and probably should have had 1 or 2 more for the hard work that we put in.
Yeah. And then at the end of the third, there was I think it was Tommy again into the empty net. But it was
59. There was a second still left on that score clock.
Yeah.
I think the referee thought, tough bit, we're done. All the lads are on the ice. We'll just get it over and done with. It's not going to change anything.
Must have had full of empty net goals this year. We've got no more in the bank. So after 40 minutes, it was 3-3. I say the team's waiting to come back on. Who wants to give us the mystery of the second interval? It's kind of a. I said on Twitter, I think it was kind of a Jonathan Creek kind of case. Yeah. Something went missing and it was found in a locked room. It's kind of strange.
There was certainly no need for Inspector Morse, that's for sure.
Going on.
Not much of a mystery, unfortunately. That's the sad thing.
Yeah.
I mean, fair play to the lads, though. They all stood by mark. They all refused to move until it was returned. And it looked like Phil Edgar was a bit embarrassed for his team and went and got it, to be fair. But who knows? Maybe the truth will come out one day.
Yeah. Somebody's memoirs. Yeah.
It's embarrassing. It's pathetic. And whoever the culprit was needs to have a very long, hard think about why they're playing ice hockey, because it's a kid's thing to do. Why do it?
Yeah. For those who don't know what we're talking about, if you didn't know the story, Mark's goalie stick was taken from outside the Stars room in the interval, and was retrieved from the Warriors dressing room by Phil Edgar. If you had to go and get the dressing room key, I believe.
Yep.
And then we played the third period, and Mark made some fantastic saves. I'd say he's relishing playing at Hillheads. He's relishing playing these days, but certainly relishing playing against Whitley and at Hillheads in particular. So great stuff from Mark. 10 saves in the third period. Stick or no stick, he was on the ball. Again, we keep mentioning it, but the travelling support. We know it's not the most glamorous place to go to, the nicest place, whatever you want to say about Hillheads. It's an old-fashioned barn, isn't it? So, but again, looking on the highlights, the block behind the Stars bench looked FULL of Stars fans, a huge turnout on the road. And they say as the team's building the momentum, the fans are going with them, and it looked brilliant, Jono.
Yeah, it was absolutely fantastic, and honestly, I didn't expect as many that turned up, especially with the Bucks being at home as well. Some of them might have took the easy option and just took a home game at the warmer, nicer, lighter Billingham Forum. But no, that we travelled again in huge numbers. And it's just what a weekend we've had. Well, what 2 weekends we've had from fans. They're realising the situation, and they are trying that extra push just to get us over the line. I don't know, maybe they remember what happened last year, where we fell off the bus, as I say.
Yeah.
But yeah, the crowd's been absolutely insane the last couple of weeks, and I think it's only going to get better as the season goes on. And I can imagine the next home game is going to be absolutely lit as well.
Yeah, the next it's two league games to go at the Forum. So a win at Hillheads. I say highlights. Warriors TV. If you search on YouTube, post game from both games this weekend, courtesy of Carol and Stephen Foster on Big Red Machine Radio. If you look on Stars social media, for the links to those two interviews. Rounding up your weekend, let's say 6 points. Stars on the brink. We'll cover exactly what's needed when we finish our roundup, but we'll leave it for now. We'll take a quick break and we'll come back with results and tables from this weekend in the NIHL Division 1 North, and we'll be back in a moment here on Starcast. Welcome back to Starcast, and it's time to look at the goings on from around the league on the weekend of the 1st and 2nd of March, week 27 of our league season. And there's your results, and we'll look at the tables in a second as well. Saturday, the lunchtime game on the main arena, Nottingham 9, Whitley 2, as John has said, big loss for the Warriors on Saturday. Players unavailable through injury and unavailability and suspension. So, but a huge win for the Lions, keeping them in the race for 6th and 7th, as we'll talk about in a minute. The big revenge game, Blackburn. We said how would things respond, and a big response from the Blackburn Hawks. 9-4 win on Saturday over the Solihull Barons, and then the Stars win in Leeds, as we know about. And on the Sunday, the Derby game, as we've just talked. Sunday, an overtime game, D-side beating the Hull Jets 5-4, and Widnes, an overtime game 5-4. Widnes over the Leeds Knights, just about keeping them in the race for a playoff spot, 2 points to 1. So Leeds still taking a point. And then the final game of the weekend, the late game with the new Nottingham Lions streaming service, which is the same streaming service, but now you have to pay for it. Nottingham 4, Blackburn 6. Carol, you may start. Where you would like to talk about first?
I'll start with the Widnes Leeds game, I think, because we highlighted this one last week. I'm still fairly convinced that Leeds will hang on to that final 8 spot, and I haven't changed my mind even after that win, because that is only an overtime win. Yeah. I don't think that was good enough for Widnes. I think they needed the regular time win to get to hold on to the hope of catching Leeds. So I think 8th possibly looking a little bit more nailed on for Leeds this week. Don't know if you guys agree. Another big win for D-side. Seem to be getting a little bit of form back, which is going to help them in postseason. And I think Blackburn getting two big wins this weekend after the cup final. You've got to give all kudos to them, really, for the bounce back ability, or whatever you want to call it. But there was the real possibility that they might fall off this weekend and struggle to recover. But you've got to give them the plaudits for coming back and saying getting straight back on the horse and putting up 2 really good results.
Yeah. On the Leeds thing, I think Widnes needed the regulation when the 5 points adrift. We'll look at the tables in a second. 5 points adrift with 6 games left, and that was the only game between the two teams that's left in the schedule. So, I think Widnes have got Nottingham twice still to play.
Yeah, I think
it was the one we'll look at, which is a strange having two fixtures still to play against the same team. But 5 points the gap between 8th and 9th with just 6 games left. So I think it's a little too late. Just a second win at home for the Widnes Wild, first overtime win. They've won 4 times on the road, just twice at home. Jono, anything from you on the results?
I think the biggest one is that Widnes Leeds one. Obviously, Leeds. I think Leeds with that result probably just keeps that 8th spot, as Carol said. Widnes have only gained a point where they needed all 3 really. Elsewhere is the Lions. Warriors a big shock, probably not when you see the bench that the Warriors travelled with, but even with a full bench, I think the Lions could have still been more than a handful for them anyway. Blackburn obviously got back straight on the horse, as Carol said again. Granted, I think Barons were missing Yokoyama, and I think they lost Goodyman quite early in the game as well. But nonetheless, that's still a good result for the Hawks, who will have all eyes on playoffs now. They've still got a title defend in that sense. And obviously, they'll still want to put plenty of pressure on us in the league. But I think, without sounding arrogant, we're nearly over the line now anyway.
Yeah. We'll look at the table in a second. Just mentioning Solihull. We're talking about milestones and stuff. Nicholas Otterson's reached 100 points this season. First import to do it in the NIHL North Division, apparently, per NIHL info. So well done to Nicholas Otterson. He's one of the premier performers. Yes, we joke about ice time and 50 minutes a game and blah, blah, blah. But he's been performing in this division for a decade now. We've got his testimonial list this summer. So congratulations to him. And we've kind of said since it went on that bit of a tear, the Barons, certainly a dark horse to look at come post-season time with the run-in that they've got. And whoever do they play next, we'll find out shortly, I'm sure. But let's look at the league table. Stop me waffling on. So Stars and Hawks still at gap at the top. 87 points. Hawks can get 90, so we can get one more regulation win will take us to 90. But it's there or thereabouts. We'll talk about that in a second. Solihull securing 3rd pretty much. And then that middle D side is starting to stretch away, but the D side, Hull, Whitley, Nottingham 5 points gap. Whitley've got 2 games in hand. So again, big ask for Nottingham to close that gap. So it's kind of looking 4 to 7, maybe settling down into those kind of positions. I know Willie Dunn was on Warriors TV, and he said when he was talking about the Solihull abandonment, postponement, cancellation, whatever you want to call it, it looks like they're going to play Solihull in the playoffs. So they're kind of penciled in 3v6 as their fixture. So that kind of middle of the table seems to be settling down, and I say it's kind of the top and the bottom to still be decided. Anything from the league table you want to talk about?
Oh, well, if it's going to be Whitley v Solihull in the playoffs, they better start arguing over who gets a Saturday game now.
I still think we're in a world where the Lions can catch the Warriors. The Warriors have got some big fixtures left. Is it 3 games left against Blackburn they've got? It's 2. It's at least 2, I think. They've still got another one against us. They've got another one against Nottingham. I'm sure they've still got 3 against Blackburn. Could be wrong. No, it's 2, isn't it? It's 2. Because they beat them once.
We play Blackburn 23rd of March, and they play Blackburn on the 16th of March.
Yeah, so 2 left.
Nottingham have got Nottingham got 2 games in Widnes. Nottingham's home program appears to be done, so their home games are all done. So Nottingham's finishing off on the road. 2 games against Widnes, away to Whitley, and away to Leeds.
Probably could catch him.
So maybe it's not as done as we think it's done.
If we're a betting man, the only win that you could see the Warriors picking up there is maybe a home to the Lions.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Daft question: does that table show the Solihull game? It doesn't, does it?
Pass. I don't know if it's been included.
Because it's only 1 game.
Warriors, Solihull. No, it's still down as TBC on the schedule, so it'll not be included in the table.
Yeah, so it's not on the table. So yeah, so it's down to 1 game.
So it's 1 game, 5 points. I mean, it's great. I mean, we talked about the league being competitive, and it's great that like the last 3 weeks of the regular season were still to be resolved. And it's the top of the division, the last playoff spaces. It's going to go down to the wire, I think, pretty much, and that's all kudos to the competitiveness of the division, which is what you wanted when the puck dropped in September.
Absolutely, you don't want to have the table decided by Christmas. You want to still be talking about permutations going into the last few weeks of the season.
Unless it's your team, obviously.
Yeah, maybe not our permutations. I don't want to talk about that, but everybody else is fine by me.
Yeah. No, that's there's still things to be decided, both ends of the division. The last few weeks of fixtures certainly going to make some fantastic viewing for the fans up and down the NIHL North.
3 weeks, 3 weekends left, and that's it, innit? League action.
Yep.
3 weekends left.
Yeah.
So yes, there you go, folks. 3 weekends left of league action.
And then
that's
last
crazy.
weekend in March is your playoff quarterfinals.
Yeah. That's crazy.
So still plenty to be decided over the next 3 weekends. So we talk about the top of the division and the Billingham Stars. So their Blackburn can get 90 points. A regulation win will get Billingham onto 90 points. But that, as in of itself, wouldn't be enough at this time to clinch the league. So the league tiebreaker from the NIHL rules of competitions. So obviously the tiebreakers are points. Points in games between the teams. So if us and Blackburn, for example, finish level, we've both won 2 games against each other, so the points are level. We both beat each other in regulation at home. And then the one that's changed, that's caught me by surprise, and I know, Carol, I think we were talking about this before we started recording. The head-to-head goal difference used to be next, but it's kind of dropped down the running order, and it's overall goal difference next, which, as we saw in the division, Stars do still have the advantage by some 27 goals, I think. What we're saying basically is we need 300%, 3 points plus other things to happen. Who knows? So we thought it could be won on Saturday, Sunday, but no. That's a roundabout way of saying it can't be won this weekend, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, we cannot win it. Other things can happen, and we might. But yeah,
we can get an awfully long way to winning it on Sunday. Because our goal difference is far superior. Our overall goal scored is far superior. We've got more regulation wins, etc., etc., etc. I think we're up on every single marker.
Yeah.
But if you want to be really pedantic and go for the mathematical certainty, then
4 points required.
Yeah, we can't win.
4 points required or a Hawks loss. If that's simple.
Yeah. That's the one.
So that's courtesy of NIHL. We've got more from the NIHL rulebook to talk about in the business, which was somebody mentioning about playoffs and things, but we'll talk about that at the end. So we may as well press straight on then. So just one game coming up this weekend for the Billingham Stars. And having been to the Hillheads Ice Palace, where else on the sojourn around the NIHL than Hobs Moat Road is our next location. Sunday, away to the Solihull Barons. As I say, the only game of the weekend. And we've said it before on this pod, Carol. To say it's not a happy hunting ground is probably a massive understatement.
It's our ultimate bogey rink, isn't it? I mean, we've had very good teams go there. We've had bang average teams go there. It doesn't seem to matter. The result seems to be much the same. I don't know what it is about that rink. We very rarely get a result there. We've put excuses out left, right, and centre in the past about referees usually. All sorts of stuff, injuries. But honestly, don't know what it is. I think it's the lack of a gate in the next to the team bench. That's my excuse.
I don't think we've won there since the 3-game weekend.
Yeah, the famous 3-game weekend where we lost the cup and won in Solihull. But I don't know. It's not the nicest place to play. Let's be honest. The netting all the way around the rink isn't great. The low level seating isn't great. It's
the water feature isn't great.
Yeah, it's very water feature. Bring your brollies, folks. It's got very low ceiling. It's an old school rink at the end of the day. It's in dire need of upgrade, but I don't know what it is. It is truly our bogey rink. Of all the rinks that we go to, it's that one that you think, no, no, and it's the longest journey and everything else, and
it's a Sunday.
And it's a Sunday, and you know you're going to get back late. And the only redeeming feature, as we've said time and time again, is the chip shop outside. And literally, that's all we go for, is for a decent bag of chips.
I mean, the Barons, as we said, after we beat them at home in December, they didn't lose again until last week of February when they lost to D-side in overtime. That ridiculous 7-6 game. So they won 12 off the spin, lost in overtime, and lost to Blackburn on Sunday. So we said they were in a bit of form. I say we know that the top line, Otterson's, I say, over 100 points. When Yokoyama's come in, he's kind of slotted in there. He's contributing points. So they are a force, and particularly at that rink, Jono, we need to do something, whether it's get a curse lifted, break a lucky heather, do whatever we need to do. Try and change the look on Hobs Moat Road.
Yeah, normally I'd say think back and look back to happy memories, but they are few and far between. I don't know if it's just a mentality thing now, the way it's something in our heads. I mean, maybe just turning up and seeing a referee that you like could help, because I think if we see someone like Ryder, I think I'll be turning around and sitting back in the car, because it'll be one of those sort of games. But I don't know what the lads can do any different. I don't know, maybe sit different seats on the bus, maybe have a bag of chips before the play. I don't know, but maybe just put the pads on different. It's one of those. I mean, they've got to try and do something to change the look in that rink. I don't know. I'm sure Body will come up with something this week at training. But yeah, it is one of those places. For me, it's worse than Whitley Bay, but that's not hard to do, really, is it? Whitley have got a bad roof. That's it. Like, Solihull, roof's awful, lighting's awful, net's awful, board's awful. It's just one of those rinks that sometimes you just don't win much there, and that's just the way it is for us. I mean, D-side have been there with 6 men and won. Blackburn have been there and won this year. Maybe we can turn it around. I just don't know.
That's what I was going to say. That I mean, when we were talking to Mikey and Chris last week after the cup, that obviously the mentality of turning around the cup from last season to this, and going through what we went through at the run-in of last year. Do you think there's a different kind of mentality? Because they've been through it last year. They've kind of turned it around already, so they've won the cup, so they've got that monkey off the back. The run-in will be. I mean, I'm touching wood here. I'm clutching all of the straws, but the run-in will be different this year. The mentality in the team's stronger and different this year, Carol.
Yeah, I think if you wanted proof that it's different, you couldn't look no further than Sunday night, because I think last year's team, had they been in the position that we found ourselves 2-0 down in the first, I think last year's team towards the end of the season would have chucked in the towel. I think the mentality is totally different. There was no panic on Sunday. It was all we're gonna get this done. We'll find a way. We'll get it done. Very big characters to step up and do that. But I don't think that was there last year at the back end of the season. Sorry, I think once we'd we'd lost the cup final and the wheels started coming off a little bit in the league, it was hard to put them back on. And I don't think we really did that. I think even though we made the playoff final, I think it was always kind of in the back of our heads. But I don't know if John agrees with me or not, but I don't see that this year. I don't see that at all. And I think Sunday was probably the best example of that you'll find.
Yeah, I thought we were outstanding Sunday, like work rate rise. I think the team knew quite quickly that it wasn't that quick, fancy hockey that we like to play, and it was right. This is hard work, boys. We'd have to put it's all hands to the pumps, and we're just going to have to graft and graft and graft. And this Sunday is going to be no different. But on the other hand, as well, Solihull have got to realise the best team in the league are coming into town. And granted, that will come with them lifting their game. It seems like they lift the game for us anyway when we turn up there. But this is a more confident team now. This is a cup champion team. This is a team with a 60-goal scorer in, which they will have to pay attention to. And I think that was part of Whitley's downfall and Leeds on Saturday and Sunday. They paid too much attention to him and left far too bigger gaps for the likes of Sykes and Elder to play in. So that's the sort of stuff that we can capitalise on. They will give Ian a lot more attention because he is that 60-goal scorer. And hopefully that just creates extra room for the other guys. And as I say, I think we've got something that they don't as well, and that's a far better second line.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you talk about that. I've got the stats up, so we know where their danger is going to come from. So Otterson, 101 points in 30 games. Dan Mulcahy, 94 points in 31 games, and Zach Yokoyama, who's been here 5 minutes, has 26 points in 9 games. That's where they're, and we've counted it. We struggled at the beginning of the season. They won handsomely down there earlier in the year. Obviously, we've had them at our place. We've won comfortably. One of the games we kind of shut the line down. The other game, they still were able to contribute. So we know where their danger is going to come from. So again, it'll be a lot on the blue line, the goalie, the team defense, limiting their chances, and then taking whatever chances we get, Carol.
I mean, yeah, I'm sure the Solihull listeners to this podcast will accuse us of being obsessed with their first line if we start talking about that they were a one-line team. But I don't think the stats are going to tell any lies here. Solihull do rely on that top line quite a lot, and I think it's foolish to suggest otherwise. But it's stacked with talent, and Nicholas Otterson is the best import in the league, TM. So, we can't do anything other than look at that line and find ways of shutting it down. That is the priority for Sunday's game. It's not an obsession, it's just facts and realism. Sorry guys, Heffenans, if you're listening. So yeah, it is all about that top line. How do we work it? How do we stop it from being as effective as it has been? I understand that Yokoyama usually plays on the second line, so that has bolstered that line a little bit. But we wait to see, because I guess what it might be for Solihull is that they move Yokoyama up to the first line to make that super strong. But who knows? I understand that that's where he's been playing anyway for
I think
for the past few weeks. He's been on.
Yeah, they moved Alex White up, didn't they, off defense, and put him with Watson and Mulcahy, I believe. And Yokoyama's on that second line with Anderton and I can't remember the other one.
Yeah. So we'll see. It is all about the danger men for Solihull, and they have fewer danger men than we do.
Yeah. We'll see what
they have that back.
5:30 at Planet Ice, Solihull, Hobs Moat Road, the Solihull Barons and the Billingham Stars, drawing an end to their season series. As I said, Solihull, how we want to look at it, they're 12-1-1 in the last 14, or they've lost the last 2 games, whichever way you want to look at it. But certainly when ourselves and Blackburn, they win a huge run of form since December. And as we said, kind of tag them as a dark horse perhaps for the playoffs, having missed out on the league and the cup knockout stages. So they'll be getting into playoff form, ready for postseason, whether it is the Whitley Warriors or whoever they face. in the quarterfinals. So we'll travel. Again, we'll see what travelling support we get. It is the longest journey we do in the division on a Sunday night. But we'll just have to. I mean, 5:30 is not a bad face-off, and then there's the lure of the chippy. So, we'll see if we can get a big turnout down on the road again. But yeah, we'll see what the guys talking about in training this week. Getting all ready for the game. Another step towards hopefully retaining a league title. I think that's it for the preview. Anything else you want to say on Solihull, or we'll just wrap things up?
I think if you are a first-time visitor to Solihull, I think it's a bit like Whitley Bay. Everybody should do it once. Just be aware it is quite different in terms of sight lines. It's very low. You can go up the stairs at the far end and sit up high, but most people tend to sit at rink level. So the sight lines are pretty poor. Yes, please do visit the chippy. Parking's chargeable, and they do ticket if you don't pay the money. So just be careful on that one. So yeah, if you're a first-time visitor, just be aware it's a bit of an experience, Solihull. It's not like it's a bit unique. It's not like
and wrap warm because you are ice level.
Yes, it's not Leeds cold, but it's fairly cold just because you are sat at ice level.
Very good. We'll hope turn out for the Big Red Machine, as has been the last. I was going to say few weeks, but the last couple of years, really, the fans on the road have been growing. So safe travels if you are going down on Sunday. It just remains to wrap up with any other business. Do you have anything from the supporters club, John? I know they've been voting on player of the month for February.
The player of the month stuff.
Game.
Yeah, so look out. You should have your emails. So if you haven't already, do get that sorted. I know there was a little technical error. I believe you just need to request access. If it does ask you to do that, just do that, and Kay will sort you out. I know we're looking at getting the Supporters Club Player of the Year votes ready. So that should be up and available for the next home game, I would have thought. And yeah, we're just trying to get restock of stuff that we've sold out of, because you've all been awesome this year and you keep buying everything.
Fantastic. And the Buster D side?
Still a few seats left, not many. I think we're down to single figures on the bus. So if you do want to be on the bus to D side, which I think could be a big weekend for the team, get in touch and we'll get you sorted on the bus. Yeah,
that's the Saturday. It's a double header with the D-side Dragons. Saturday, Sunday. Saturday down at North Wales. Sunday back at the Forum Ice Arena. Carol, we talked about playoffs earlier. There's just a bit of housekeeping you want to bring to people's attention for playoffs.
Yeah, it was just a bit of a help, really. I saw a question going around on the chat, which I explained at the time in the chat, but I thought just for the wider audience, the way that the playoffs actually works. The question was, is it a bracket competition, or does it go on seeding throughout? Well, it is a bracket competition. So helpfully on screen, as Craig has put there, it's all just examples, by the way. I'm not assuming anything, but just say that we did finish first and we did play, say, Leeds Knights in 8th. It would be the winner of that tie that goes through to semi-final number 1, regardless of who wins. So it's already set as a bracket. So the seedings will only count for who gets to choose the home and away order. So it's all set in stone, who plays who, all the way to the final.
So I say if we'll do that thing they do in the NHL, if the playoffs started today.
Yes, if the playoffs started today, there you go. That's a better one.
It would be the winner of Billingham v Leeds would play the winner of D-side v Hull.
Yes.
And then the other semi-final would be the winner of Blackburn v Nottingham against the winner of Solihull versus Whitley Warriors.
Yes, correct.
I know which side of the bracket I'd like to be on.
And however those semi-finals turn out, and remember that the semi-finals this year are another home and away at your own rink. So an extra home game in the playoffs for the teams that get that far. Either way, that's going to shake out. I think we're going to have 2 cracking semi-finals, regardless of who gets through. So, playoff hockey is going to be fantastic in the knockout stages, to the final 4, to the weekend, to everything. So, yeah. But yeah, thanks to, again, helpful guide from the NIHL rules of competition. They've had 2 mentions this week. We'll have to get some sort of recompense. Before we wrap up, I'll just remind the competition that we started at the top of the show. We have a pair of tickets for the Steel City Showdown at Ice Sheffield on 12th and 13th of April. All you have to do, that there Steel City Showdown, Carol, thank you. All you have to do is guess how many goals will be scored in this coming weekend's division games. So it's Sheffield D-side, Hull Blackburn, Widnes Nottingham, D-side Leeds, Whitley Nottingham, Sheffield Blackburn, and Solihull Billingham. 7 games on the schedule for this weekend. Guess how many goals will be scored in total in those 7 games. Posted in either the thread here on the social media that where you're watching, or send us an email, starcast@march74.co.uk. The closest to the final total will win the tickets. If we have a tie, we'll draw the winner out of one of Carol's bobble hats next week in the show. And again, thanks to the NIHL management for gifting the tickets for us to give away. I think we'll call a veil there over things. I say just a 1 game on the schedule for the Stars, but still plenty of intrigue across the NIHL division. If you're traveling to Solihull, as Carol said, if you are going for your first time, take her advice and wrap up warm and be ready for a chippy tea on the way home. But yeah, travel safe, loud and proud for the Big Red Machine. We'll be back next week to talk about the Solihull game and hopefully a lot more besides. Get those competition entries in. And I think that's about it. Thanks to everybody again for their continued support. Do us a like and a review and a share, and tell everybody about us, whether you watch it here on social media or on YouTube, or if you're listening on Spotify or Apple or Amazon or wherever you get your Starcast. Thanks for your support. Thank you to Carol. I got it right. And to Jono. Great chat as always. Thanks for listening and for watching, and we'll be back next week on Starcast.
Thank you for being part of this episode of Starcast, the official podcast of your Billingham Stars. Remember to like and share this episode, send a review when you can, and follow us on social media for the very latest news and to find out when the next Starcast will drop.